Today we are testing out a bunch of new makeup launches from Sephora. I am really excited about a lot of these products. I picked up most of these during the Sephora sale. If you haven't seen my haul, I will link that down below. And I was really excited to finally test out some of these products. This isn't necessarily a first impression. Some of these products I have been using, so it's like a next impression. I wouldn't even say it was like a second impression. There's a couple that this is my first time using, but one use, doesn't really tell the full story of how a product is going to perform. So I was excited to just continue testing out these products. Well, let's get into it. If you are new here, my name is Bridget. I am a lover of all things beauty, makeup especially, and I am going to show you how I got this look today using a bunch of new products from Sephora. I am going to use the Haus Labs Triclone Skin Tech foundation. I think that's the full name. This is a really great, beautiful foundation, and I am gonna mix it with the One Size Base Thinner. This is a newer product that launched this year. I've been using this a pretty good amount since I got it. I've tried it with a couple different foundations, and I really like it. It just helps to transform fuller coverage, maybe heavier, thicker foundations into a little bit more natural, add a little bit of glow. Kind of depending on how much you use of this product, you can really control what you want it to do. And I feel like with the Haus Labs, that foundation is probably my fullest coverage foundation. It's really beautiful. I think it does give a nice natural finish. It leans more matte. It's not like a powdery flat matte. It doesn't like dry down to a matte when you apply it on the skin, but I wouldn't say it's dewy. Like, it doesn't quite have that glow. It's really natural. It's kind of in the middle, and I think mixing this in will help to just bring a little bit extra glow to it. Okay, so I'm gonna pump a little bit out on my little dish here. I wear the shade 04 or 040 Fair Neutral. This is a good undertone match for me, but it is a little dark, so I actually mix it with the white shade. I wish more foundations came out with a white shade. That way you could just kind of customize your foundation a little bit. I mean, I know white doesn't really help with undertone issues, but I feel like I found a great undertone. It's just, it usually gets a little dark if I just use this shade alone. So I pumped out like one and a half of the shade 40. It was like a little clogged, so it kind of just ended up being a half, and then one full pump of the white, and then I actually did a full pump of the One Size. You can see my little concoction here. I really need to get like a mixing spatula, so I'm not just always using my finger and then having to wipe my finger off. Okay, I'm gonna start off with a brush. I'm using the Morphe M103 foundation brush. I just picked up a couple of these new Morphe brushes, and I honestly really like them so far, and they're really affordable. I think this was either $10 or $15. I think maybe this bigger one was $15, but then I also have the concealer brush, and I think that was $10. So, love finding good affordable brushes. Yeah, that applied really well with this brush. I will say this is a foundation that I think works very well with a brush. I think maybe because it's a little bit more silicone based, it does have that smoothing blurred finish to it. And sometimes with the sponge, I feel like it's very much sitting on top of my skin. And if I were to, I don't know, be too firm with the sponge, it would kind of like slide away. But I feel like the brush really presses it into your skin. I don't know, just my personal thought. I mean, I'm still gonna go over with my sponge because that's just my preferred application, but there are some foundations that don't work as well with brushes. I don't think I could ever be a full brush person and not have a damp beauty sponge nearby. Right off the bat, I do notice a little bit of the coverage is gone from adding in that base thinner, but it's still pretty good coverage. Like, this is giving the coverage of a lot of my other foundations I use. I just know that the House Labs is a little bit higher coverage. I would say it's like close to full coverage. I think it claims to be like a natural or medium coverage, but it is on the higher side. I feel like I see a glow from that base thinner, and like I said, it is a little bit thinner, a little bit lighter coverage, but I do feel like there's a little bit of a luminosity. I mean, whenever I first apply like a wet foundation, there's a little bit of that glow from it being wet, but this I feel is a little extra, and I feel like it is coming from that One Size product. Okay, I'm gonna go over with my sponge, but I don't really see any like streak marks from the brush that I need to smooth out, whereas some foundations just, I always will see that with a brush. Okay, going in with concealer, I am going to try this Kosas Revealer concealer, the brightening pink one in the shade Magic. I picked this up during the Sephora sale, and I have not yet used it. I tried it like when I wasn't wearing makeup just under my eyes, but I keep forgetting to use it, and I've done my makeup like multiple times since it arrived, and I just forgot to try it. I think it's just because normally I don't go for these correctors. I've just gotten used to my dark circles. I do have a concealer I love, but I do think using a corrector does make a difference. It's just sometimes I'm lazy and I feel like, okay, I don't really need it, but I bought it for a reason. I was curious about it, so we shall see how it looks. I'm just gonna apply a little bit. This is very pink, and I wouldn't say it's the lightest pink, so I've been a little bit worried that it's not gonna be the right shade for me. I think I wanna keep my concealer brush and the corrector brush separate, so I'm gonna go in with a Sephora brush. This is their Pro Concealer brush. And just start tapping that in, focused a little bit more on the inner part of my under eye where I have more of that blue darkness. Really what I should have done was only put it on one eye to see if I could tell a difference, but I didn't think about that until now. So for now, it's just gonna be a general first impression, but maybe I will try that. I mean, I think it did correct a little bit, but it is very pink. I don't even know if the camera's fully picking it up because of my lights, but I definitely couldn't just wear this on its own because it looks a little weird. I mean, you really shouldn't anyways, but I know that sometimes some people can get away with that if it's just a more matching shade. All right, going in, Tower 28. This is the shade BU, and then I go in with the shade BH for a little brightness. And I might need a little bit more brightness to make sure this concealer is also kind of concealing the pink corrector. Okay, I'm gonna use the Morphe concealer brush. Similar shape to that foundation brush, but really perfect for just blending out and really pressing that concealer, keeping it in place, keeping the coverage. I'll go over my eyelid a little bit. I think I can't see the pink corrector anymore. I will just be curious if I feel like my under eye is more concealed than normal. Okay, I'm gonna do some cream contour, or liquid contour, I guess, 'cause I'm using the Rare Beauty liquid contour in the shade Gentle. I've noted before that this isn't like my perfect shade, more that it just isn't super cool on me. So I think of this more as like a cream bronzer. Like it's not super warm like a bronzer, but it's not super cool like a true contour. But I've come to actually really like it for that in between. And this formula is great, very easy to apply. See, at first it looks like, whoa, and it almost looks a little muddy, but it blends out very nicely and the shade actually looks good. It gives like that warmth to my skin, and also because it's a cream, I can go back over it with my sponge. I'm gonna powder set it, and all of that softens the intensity as well. So that's honestly one of the benefits of cream products. Okay, let's do the other one. Does anyone else have the issue where sometimes you don't place the height equally? Because I noticed that a couple times where I'm like, oh, this one cheek, I put that a little too low. I thought it was even, but then I look at it. I feel like this is gonna last me forever. There's so much product in there. It's like twice the size as their blush. And let's do a little on the forehead. I even feel like that's too much, but this is very easy to blend. Trust the process. This is the best example of that, because at first I'm like, ooh, no, that is a little too dark. But hopefully you can see how it's just like a little bit warmer on me. Whereas I've seen some people use it and it looks very cool toned. I think I'm gonna do a little cream blush. I really wanna use the new Patrick Ta blush that I got. It's not a new shade. This is in the shade She's That Girl, but it's new to me. I think this is one of their original colors, shades, palettes since the duo. And I've always had my eye on it, and I'm really glad I picked it up during the sale. I'm just gonna use the cream today. It's a really pretty, like, soft pink. That's so pretty. Just like soft everyday. I do want to try out the powder as well and try out the combo, but I really want to use one of the Say blushes today. I'm glad I picked this up because I have two other shades, but they're just not as like natural everyday shades. I have, I think it's called She's a Doll, the like baby pink one. That one is very baby pink. And then I have She Goes to the Gym, which is beautiful, but it's a little deeper, a little more mauve-y, berry toned, that I think I'd reach for more in the fall and winter. So I'm gonna set everything with one of my favorite powders, the Makeup by Mario Surreal Skin Soft Blur Setting Powder. I love this. This is in the lightest shade Fair Pink. It is pinky, but it's definitely not a bright pink powder. There are some, like the Huda Beauty Cherry Blossom powder, the new Kosas one, those are pink. This is just like a hint of pink, but honestly it's pretty translucent. Okay, my favorite way to set my under eyes is using my sponge in the powder. That's just me, personal preference. I feel like that always works really well, and my under eyes are set the best when I do that. I feel like I should lower my camera when I set my under eye because I really just have to look down because I want to be smoothing out those creases. Okay, so now I'm going to set the rest of my face with that powder, but I will use a powder puff to do that. I will say this is one of those foundations that's pretty wet. I don't know if that's the right word, but definitely doesn't dry down. So I do feel like sometimes I need a little bit more powder, or I just need to kind of touch my face and see if there's any areas that are still dewy. Even though I find it to have a more natural to satin finish, it's still just more liquidy, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. There's some foundations that just have a natural set down and you don't need as much powder. This Makeup by Mario powder is really beautiful. It gives a very airbrush finish, and I don't feel like it gets cakey if you apply it too much. So I have combination skin. I would say when it comes to makeup, my makeup tends to get oilier over dry unless it's the dead of winter when my skin is feeling really dry, but winter has ended, so this is when I need to look out for some of that oiliness that happens in the center of my face. Okay, let me set my eyelids. Blend out some of that creasing from the concealer sitting there. Okay, nice and set. But I feel like I got that really pretty satin finish from that foundation and the powder combo. Next, I'm going to use a little bit of bronzer. I'm going to go in with the new House Labs bronzer. This is new with an asterisk because this was reformulated, but everything I've seen is that it's pretty comparable formula. So it is technically a new product out. I picked it up during the sale and I have really been enjoying it. This is in the shade Soleil Sand. It's their fairest shade. This is definitely a bronzer. This is quite warm, but because this shade is so fair, it actually works for my fair skin. It is definitely giving that sun-kissed bronze glow, but I don't find it to be too orange for me. It's warm though. Definitely warm, but it works. So I'm just gonna apply a little. I think I'm really gonna like this in the summer to get that sun-kissed bronze look. Which honestly, I don't normally go for because I've just never found a great true bronzer that could give that sun-kissed look without looking orange. All right, that is really pretty. If you have fair skin like me, I would say I'm very fair, I recommend this. I think this is a great fair bronzer. For blush, I'm gonna use the new Say blush. This is in the shade Mia. I really like this blush. I have used the shade Bella, and I think this is one of the prettiest cool baby tone pink blushes because it's very soft and very buildable. It's a baked formula. It just looks so beautiful on the skin. It gives a really pretty sheen. Not overly pigmented, but easy to build up. I've been liking these. Honestly, I kind of want to use this shade, but I haven't really tried this shade Mia out, and this is more everyday, so I'm gonna go with this. I talked about this in my haul. I know there've been some critiques about the packaging feeling a little cheap. I don't really feel that way. Like I get where they're coming from. It's very light. It's just a plastic. I think it just has a more drugstore feel. It's not like this blush is crazy expensive for a high-end blush, so I don't feel like you're getting a cheap product. Here we go. It's definitely rosy. It has some warmth to it as well. I feel like it blends in very well with that bronzer. And I think you can see the sheen. It just has this very natural glow. Yeah, that's a really pretty natural rosy shade. I think with my lighting and the camera, it doesn't always pick up the intensity, and so sometimes I go a little heavier handed because I see myself in the viewfinder and then I look in my bathroom mirror and it's a little like, woo, okay, a little too much going on, but it's just so easy, especially when you have that blush blindness, to just keep going. But I'm gonna use my brush to just kind of blend things out. I don't have any new product. Oh, I really like this blush. And yeah, the sheen, you can tell it just is beautiful. Baked blushes, I honestly think, are some of the best formulas because of that beautiful sheen and just radiance it gives to the skin without adding in shimmer. Okay, for highlighter, I am gonna use my new Dior highlighter palette. I picked this up during the sale. I've always wanted this and now I finally have it, so you can bet I am gonna be using it. Oh, just so pretty. Now, I can't use all of these shades. I wanna use these two for highlight. Probably the pink, maybe we'll leave alone. I might use one of these on my eyes on the lid, but right now I'm going to start off with the champagne shade as highlight and then maybe do a little bit of the white shade at the very high points. Ooh, yeah, I see that. It's really pretty. Okay, now I'm gonna tap just a little bit of the white highlighter just on the top. Going a little extra today because we're trying out all this fun new makeup. Okay, I can probably remove these. Usually once I'm done with my cheeks, I take these out. So I don't have a new eyeshadow palette, so I thought I would just go with classic Makeup by Mario palette. This is the Master Mattes, the neutral palette, which I think is the cool tone palette. And I'm just gonna kind of speed through this because I'm just gonna do a natural look. These are all matte shades. Gonna just put them on and then go back with that Dior highlighter palette and put a little bit on the lid. So we just speed on through this. I really like this palette. The eyeshadow is just very creamy, very easy to blend. I feel like it's good to have an all matte palette in your collection, and this is a great one. There's so many shades in here, really versatile and very nice size. It's so compact, so easy to travel with. Okay, I'm gonna take a little bit of this Dior palette. I think I'm gonna go in with the champagne shade. This is actually one of the new Morphe brushes. This is a flat concealer brush, but I'm gonna use it as like a lid shader brush. Okay, honestly, I think this is, my finger is gonna work the best. Sometimes when it comes to placing product on the lid, your finger really just doesn't compare to a brush. And this isn't the most like powdery formula. It's definitely pretty packed. I picked it up really well on my finger, but I do think the brush, that specific brush for getting like a packed shade on the lid, isn't quite gonna work with this formula. And this is obviously not formulated to be an eyeshadow. So it works well as a highlighter because it's not picking up too much. That is really pretty. It's just like a little champagne-y gold. I might go in with the darker bronze shade. You know, to be honest, talking about cheap looking packaging, this Dior like packaging is pretty cheap looking. Like, it's Dior and it's got, you know, the silver and the Dior, but there's not even a mirror, which honestly I don't have an issue with. I never used the mirrors, so I'm kind of like that you can just see right into it. But this is just like cheap plastic like most packaging is, and this type of packaging palette quad I totally would see at the drugstore. And this is very pricey because it's Dior. Now the formula is very good, but I just don't get like the hate on this packaging. Okay, I'm gonna take a little bit of that bronze and just do a little on the outer. Ooh, that's really pretty, but not too golden because I really don't like warm shades, if you haven't noticed. So I love a cool tone, and this is just kind of the perfect bronzy. And then let's finish everything off with this very bright white. Take this kind of pencil brush and go right in the inner corner. Okay, to finish the eyes, I don't have any new eyeliner or mascara, honestly. The drugstore is really where I feel you should put your money for those products. Even though there's some great high-end eyeliners and mascaras, they're just not necessarily worth the money when you can find really great ones at the drugstore. When it comes to other products, that's different, but that category specifically. But I'm just gonna use some high-end favorites. This is the Benefit Roller Liner Eyeliner. I'm gonna use this today. And I'm gonna do my best to have this be picked up in camera, but it's really hard because I like to set my elbow on my table when I do this, and then that just kind of gets me down a little lower. I think I might need to do this off camera. Okay, I applied that off camera because I was leaning down the whole time. This eye got a little like wonky at the end, but when I put the mascara on, that'll look fine. I figured that was the move as opposed to trying to fix it and ending up with a super thick line because you've overdone it and then you need to correct it on the other eye too. So let's go into mascara. My favorite high-end mascara is the Lancome Lashy Dull Mascara. This just hits all the things I want in a mascara, but it is $30 and I don't love that. So if I can get it on sale, I will, but I have others from the drugstore that I like. I think it's also just the wand is really nice, so it's easy to get really close to the lash line. But honestly, when it comes to wands, some of that is personal preference. Mascara is also kind of personal preference. What some people like, some don't. And you do you. I'm going to use the Tower 28 Lip Softy. This is like probably my favorite lip balm formula. I think the pigmentation is pretty good as well. And this is in the shade Confetti Cake. It's one of their newer shades. It's a little like purpley berry, but it's very soft on the lips. So that is what I'm gonna use. And it smells really good. It does kind of smell like confetti cake. Yeah, so you can see a little bit of that purpleness. I mean, it's not like super deep purple or anything, but it's a little bit there. And I do feel like there's definitely a color on the lips. It's very light. It's not like super sheer where it's just a kiss. It's like a little bit more than that. To me, it feels like a gloss in a balm. Because, you know, you usually get a little bit more color with the gloss. And I like the Tower 28 glosses. I think they're really nice and non-sticky gloss, but I would use these over those because these are so much more hydrating and just buttery. Okay, to finish everything off, I am gonna go in with the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Soulmates Face Palette Duo. I'm gonna go in with the finishing powder. This is just a really pretty light pink brightening shade. I really hope they add this shade to their full line. I also think it'd be great if they brought this back. It was limited edition. I think it's completely sold out, but it was so popular that it would be smart of them to restock it. So I'm just gonna go in with a little bit on the center of my face to highlight. I'm gonna use my Beauty Blender puff thing. I actually prefer this for finishing powder. It's really good at picking up pressed powder because of this kind of velvetness to it. It can just get pressed powder like a brush, but apply it like a puff. But I don't like this for loose powder. I like these kind of puffs more for loose powder. Just gonna go a little bit in the center of my face, a little bit under the eye as well. And that is the finished look. I really like how it turned out. I am loving these Say blushes. I think right now this is my favorite of the new launches. Loving this bronzer, have been using it a ton. I think this is gonna be great for the summer. I can't really give much of an impression on this brightener. I mean, it didn't disrupt my regular concealer. It doesn't look extra heavy under the eyes or anything. I'll be curious to see how it wears. I really need to do a test where I use this under one eye and not under the other and then really see how I like it. But I don't know, I don't dislike it. But a part of me does wonder, like, is it really making a difference? So I don't know. And then honestly, I'm liking this Rare Beauty contour more and more. And I really thought I wasn't gonna like it because I just thought the shade was not a fit for me, but I'm enjoying it and I love how easy the formula is. So if you haven't checked this out, I do think this is a great one to pick up. And that is it for today's video. I would really appreciate if you would give this video a thumbs up. And if you want to see more beauty content, definitely hit that subscribe button. Until next time, beauties, bye.